Hi all, this is Allmighty and welcome to this video. So today once again I bring you a game from the World Championship match of 2010, a championship match between Veselin Topalov and Viswanathan Anand, and yeah, now it is round 4. And the result is currently 1.5 against 1.5, so both of the players have won in the first two games and the third game ended in a draw. Anand took it upon himself to use the strategy of just playing defensively and calmly when he has the black pieces, and apparently playing very actively when he has the white pieces. So now today he has the white pieces and Topalov again with the black. So let's see what happened in this game. d4, of course, as in every game up until now, we see on the board, and now knight to f6. Anand was the one who actually changed the variation in the third game, so he decided to go for the Slav, immediate d5, and Topalov is the one who sticks to his guns. He plays knight to f6 and continues with the same idea. We have c4 and now e6. Knight to f3, avoiding Nimzo-Indian with a knight to c3, and now we have d5 on the board, so the anti-Nimzo-Indian. And after this, g3, going once again for the Catalan. As he did win with the Catalan in round 2, he once again plays it in round 4. Anand definitely shows that his strategy is to kind of, I wouldn't say copy Kramnik, but play similar style as Kramnik, who played a World Championship match against Topalov in 2006. It probably annoyed Topalov at least a little bit that he played the Catalan all that often, because Kramnik did create a lot of problems to Topalov in 2006. But okay, Topalov continues with the same idea. Pawn captures on c4, and we have bishop to g2. But after this, in round 2 was a6 was played, but now we have a bishop to b4 check. Bishop to d2, and now a5. So going for the defense of this bishop. If you would capture, of course, pawn captures leaves the a file open for this rook. And now these two pawns, we will have double pawns on b and c file, but it would actually be a very good game for black. So here we see queen to c2, and now this idea of capturing with the bishop on d2 now immediately. Queen has to capture on d2 because it was analyzed thoroughly that if knight captures from b to d2, it does develop the knight, but it doesn't bring all that much to white in this position. b5 can be played, and here if you play a4, c6 is possible, and now after b3, pawn captures, knight captures and castles. As you can see, black is pretty much fine in this position. If you're wondering what about knight instead of a4, knight to e5 in this position, simply knight to d5 stops the threat of bishop just capturing this rook, of course. But this knight jumps aren't all that scary, so knight is a very good piece on d5. Black is enjoying his extra pawn here in this position. So here, after bishop captures on d2, we see queen captures on d2, and now c6. a4, but of course b5 now going for the defense of this pawn. And it was in this position that actually Anand plays a novelty, knight to a3. So a novelty for that time, and the idea behind this move is of course to keep pressure on the queen side on all of these pawns, because black has an extra pawn and it's always good to keep pressure. And of course now Topalov needs to go into a little bit of a think, because it is a new move and he finds the best move, which is the bishop to d7, keeping an eye on all of these pawns on the queen side. So it's a pretty natural move as well. We have knight to e5 now and knight to d5. So locking in this position. But you might wonder, for example, what happens if pawn captures on b5. Pawn captures on b5, queen to g5. White in this situation does threaten to capture on b5 because you have two attackers, and also at the same time he threatens to capture on g7. But actually this is a very good situation for black, because king can simply play h6. And now if queen captures on g7, rook to h7, and the queen is trapped. So of course black is in a much better position here. So this is something that isn't possible, and Anand knows it, so he plays knight to e5. After all, he is prepared for this variation. Knight to d5, stopping this, and now e4, attacking the knight. Knight to b4, both players castle, and we have rook from f to d1. And this is one of the critical moments in the game, because here Topalov with the black pieces needs to find a way how to approach this position. As we all know, up until now Anand is in his preparation, and it's always dangerous, and since it is a match of high stakes, it is always dangerous to make a mistake in any of the situations, because your opponent is in his preparation. So here, what do we see? Black does have that pawn, but at the same time his position isn't looking all that good. His pieces are cramped. He has this knight on b4, but looking at this knight and this bishop, they aren't looking all that good. So here actually Topalov finds the best move, which was bishop to e8, opening up the d file for the queen. But at the same time, you have to kind of feel sorry for him, because he needs to make moves like these. And this is also one of the things that you can take out of this opening. If you go for this pawn captures on c4 and decide to play your opening with the pawn up and try to keep up with that pawn, you will definitely end up in positions like this, if your opponent, of course, is very well prepared. So here, once again, we notice that Anand is very well prepared, because at the right moment he strikes with d5. And the thing is, you cannot even capture, because this leads to a better position for black. Pawn captures, pawn captures. And now if you capture with the pawn, once again, you have this pawn captures on b5. Knight to d7 trying to attack the knight, but you have knight to c6, knight has to capture, and now even queen to d5. For the moment, black has the extra piece, but of course he needs to move this knight or this knight. If he moves this knight, then he loses the exchange after this, as you can see, and white has the extra pawn, so he is winning in this position. So you have to play something like this. But now pawn captures on c6, queen captures on d5, and a rook captures on d5. Bishop captures on knight captures on c6 and knight captures on c4. In this position, the material is equal, but for the moment, black is in a very troublesome situation, not being able to develop this bishop, and also this pawn is not looking all that good. It seems that white will end up with a passed pawn on the b file, and you don't want to allow this if you're black. So Topalov keeps the position where everything is tense, and at this moment he plays queen to d6, attacking the knight. Knight moves to g4 with an idea to jump to e3, and now we see queen to c5, knight to e3, and now knight from a8 to a6. As you can see, once again, black is trying to develop his pieces, but he has to develop them on the edge of the board. Making a development move like this is feels really bad, and black is just grasping for straws now. As you can see, the main idea is, of course, to transfer the knight to c7, play rook to d8, and keep the pressure on the d5 pawn. If black manages to do this, of course, he will get out of this situation. But once again, Anand is very well prepared, and he plays pawn captures on c6. If there would be a capture, then pawn captures on b5. So first we see pawn captures on a4. Knight from a captures on c4, and bishop captures on c6. Rook from a to c1. In the end, white has definitely finished the development. The situation is just great for white. On the other hand, black's pieces aren't looking all that good, but still, it kind of seems that all is over for black. He has the extra pawn, but it is a doubled a pawn. So now the fight continues. There aren't any good knight jumps for the moment, so rook from a to c1, you don't have to be afraid of it. And this is actually why Topalov thinks that it is right moment to play h6. And h6 is a good move. It makes room for the king. You can move your rooks without threats of the back rank checkmate. And after knight moves, queen to g5 is stopped. But okay, knight to d6 first, opening an attack for the queen, queen to a7, and now knight to g4. And while Anand was the one in preparation, Topalov was finding the best moves for the situation. He did fell a lot on time during the game, and already he is definitely lower on time, and for the moment it seems that he dropped his guard. because here in this situation what you need to do is play something like f6 so that you could provide the defense with the queen on the 7th rank. But here in this situation he played, rook from a to d8. Of course, a natural move, pinning the knight and trying to just make something of his position. And here is actually the move where Anand starts a very great attack. So if you want, you can try and find that move. I will just shortly talk about the current position. As you can see, all of white's pieces are looking good. On the other hand, all of black's pieces have one thing in common. They are all pretty much on the queen side. And that is not particularly a good situation if there is an attack going on. At the moment, there isn't an attack going on, but pretty soon it will. And the thing is that white has a queen that is eyeing the king side, and the knight is eyeing the king side. This other knight is very close to the king side. This rook, when the position up, will definitely come to the king side. So here Anand plays an intuitive move, I would say. Knight captures on h6. You have to capture, and now queen captures on h6. And now you see why it was important to play f6, because now black could have been playing queen to h7, just stopping all of the attack. Now f6 is played, but in this situation e5 is played. And now if you play queen to g7 or queen to h7, there is the exchange, but bishop captures on c6, knight captures and rook captures, white is up a pawn, and when the knight moves to b8 or b4, rook to c7 is coming with check, and once again white is in a better position. So this is why Topalov didn't go for this. He actually played bishop to g2. But this allows one other move by Anand. Pawn captures on f6. And the idea behind this move, if we play something stupid with black, for example, f7 is the threat. Queen to g6 first, king to h8, and then f7. Now the threat is queen to h6 checkmate. So you have to capture, and after captures, we have a rook to d8. And now when the queen moves somewhere here, there will be a checkmate in 1. So that was the whole idea. So here in this position we see rook captures on d6. Rook captures on d6 and black plays bishop to e4. So Topalov has now 3 pieces for the rook, and if he manages to go out of this, he will definitely win the game. But while Anand is still on the attack, we see rook captures on e6, now capturing the pawn and attacking the bishop, but now knight to d3, attacking the rook and at the same time threatening queen to f2, which is checkmate. So rook to c2 must be played, defending the pawn, and we see queen to h7. So finally Topalov decided to exchange the queens, but now it's too late, because f7 is the move, and this we could call a finishing move. You have 3 options now. You can capture with a king, but then rook to f6, king to e7, captures, king d7, rook to d6 is forced checkmate in 5. If you capture with the rook, pretty much same idea. Rook captures on f8, this is a checkmate in 2. So the only thing you can do is queen to f7, which was played in the game. But now we see rook captures on e4, and queen cannot capture on f2 because rook simply captures. But what you could have done was knight to f2. It doesn't save the game, but for the moment it prevents rook to g4, which is the main threat, and it also attacks the rook. But okay. There was no knight to f2. Here queen to f5 was played, and this allowed rook to e7. And actually it was in this position because it is a forced checkmate in 5. Once again, Topalov resigned the game. Let me just quickly show you. Queen to g7 is the main threat, so queen to f7 could be played. After that, queen to g5, king to h8, and now rook captures. Rook captures and queen to h6 first. King goes here and rook to c8 plays. This is checkmate after this capture. If you don't do this, so if instead of rook to e7 you play rook to f7, you have rook to c8, so the queen can capture. If she doesn't, then that will be checkmate in 1, so she must capture. First check here, king goes here, queen to h5, so everything is forced. King to g8, queen captures, king to h8, and queen to h7 is checkmate. So yeah, this is a checkmate in 5. Nothing that Topalov could have done after that knight to h6, unless Anand made a mistake, but since he had a lot of time on the clock, he was in his preparation, he had more than enough time to find the right plan after that move. That being said, the result now in this match is 2.5 against 1.5. Anand is once again in the lead. 2 wins with the white pieces. It seems that Topalov will have to find the cure against the Catalan now against Anand in this match. That being said, I will continue later on with round 5 and some other games. But yeah, this is pretty much it for this video. I would like to thank you for watching it, and I will see you next time.